In today's video, we're going to talk about the difference between the Daniel diet and the Daniel fast. So make sure that you stick around. Here we go. Hey guys, I'm Pastor B from Forward Church. Welcome back to the channel. Make sure that you've hit that subscribe button and clicked on that little bell icon to get notified every time we release a new video designed to help you move forward with God. Now in today's video, we're going to look at the big difference between the Daniel fast and the Daniel diet. Yes, there is a difference, and the difference is important. The Daniel diet is a diet that's modeled after the Daniel fast. As a matter of fact, the foods that you eat and that you don't eat are the same on the Daniel diet as they are on the Daniel fast. The one big difference is that the Daniel diet is a diet. It's a way to eat. It's a way to manage your weight. It's a way to try to be healthy. Whereas the Daniel fast is set apart as a spiritual discipline or a spiritual habit that Christians go through in order to connect with God on a deeper level. And that difference is tremendously huge. Not too long ago, I saw on a friend's Facebook page this quote, and it was so good, I actually sent him a message and said, dude, I'm stealing that. That's great. And this is the quote. A diet changes the way you look. A fast changes the way you see. And therein lies all the difference between the Daniel diet and the Daniel fast. The Daniel diet's great, and man, I would encourage you, if you're looking for a special diet to be healthy and lose weight and perhaps get in shape, hey, try the Daniel diet. However, realize that the diet may change the way that you look, whereas the Daniel fast changes the way that you see. See, a fast is a set-apart time where we're giving up something, normally food, in order to draw closer to God. Now, I want to say straight from the top that just because you fast, just because you give up food or social media or whatever it is that you're fasting, that doesn't mean that you draw closer to God, okay? The reality is that we're saved by grace through faith, and we draw closer to God by grace through faith. But what we need to realize is that God has given us certain spiritual disciplines or growth habits that will help us draw closer to Him. Prayer is a growth habit. None of us would say that you shouldn't pray as a follower of Jesus. Reading the Bible is a growth habit. And very few people that I know would say that you don't read the Bible to grow in your relationship with God. And in the same way, fasting is also a habit or a spiritual discipline that God has given us. As a matter of fact, Jesus, when He was teaching the Sermon on the Mount, He said this, "When you fast, do not be like the hypocrites." Now, the fact that Jesus said the word when tells us that Jesus wasn't condemning the practice of fasting, but actually was expecting the practice of fasting. Also, there's this time in the Gospel of Mark where there are a lot of religious leaders, Pharisees and so on, that come to Jesus, and they have a problem with His disciples. The Pharisees and the disciples of John the Baptist fasted regularly, but they noticed that Jesus and His disciples didn't regularly fast. So they go to Christ and they say, how come we're fasting? We're following these religious rituals, but your disciples aren't. And Jesus says this really important phrase. He says, how can the guests of the groom fast while they're with the groom? In other words, His disciples were with Him. And the reason that we fast is because we're not with the groom. Yet while these disciples were walking around on the earth in the first century, they had God. They had Jesus Himself with them. Then Jesus goes on to say, but the time will come when the groom will be taken from them, and on that day they will fast. Now, why do we fast? Well, we fast because the groom has been taken away from us, and our hearts are hungry to be with Him. We have this God-shaped hole in each of our souls that longs to be filled with God. And fasting is a spiritual discipline for the homesickness that we have for our eternal home in the presence of God. So, while a Daniel diet may change the way you look, a Daniel fast will change the way you see. So a Daniel diet is a particular meal plan and a way that you eat, whereas a Daniel fast is a spiritual exercise meant to help you draw closer to God. One important thing to remember during that time is while you're fasting, make sure that you're praying. I have a very good friend of mine who has said this for years. Fasting without prayer is just going on a diet. Now, We don't want to just go on a diet while we're on the Daniel fast. So we want to make sure that we're spending time praying. We're spending time drawing closer to God in our relationship. So I want to give you 3 quick prayer points for you to try out on your Daniel fast. Prayer point number 1, pray the mirror. Now, when I say pray the mirror, I mean pray for yourself, the person that you see in the mirror. After all, we're going on these Daniel fasts in order to help deepen our personal relationship with God. And so remember that as you go on this Daniel fast, the best person that you can pray for is to pray for yourself. So prayer point number 1, pray the mirror. Prayer point number 2, pray the newspaper. Now, let's be honest, not too many of us read a newspaper. We get our news from Facebook or social media or something like that. But what I mean when I say pray the newspaper is this: pray for what's happening in our world. If you look around on the daily news or if you look around on social media, you'll be able to find a plethora of things that need you to pray for. I know for me, whenever I look at social media or whenever I look at something going on in the news, it burdens my heart. Now, I'd love to say that I always respond in prayer, but sometimes I don't, and which is why this is an important discipline for us to get in the habit of not just having a knee-jerk response to what we see going on, but rather falling to our knees in response to what's going on. So make sure, prayer point number 2, that you're praying what's happening in the news. And finally, prayer point number 3, pray the scriptures. There are beautiful prayers that are actually written out throughout the scriptures. And I would encourage you, take some time. Maybe take one different prayer each week this year and just focus on praying that prayer from the scriptures into your life. There's something amazing that happens when God begins to work in our hearts in response to those prayers as we pray the scriptures. And so I would encourage you, man, start with the Lord's Prayer and pray, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. May your name in my life, Lord, be kept holy, be kept separate, be kept beautiful. And may you have your kingdom and your will in my life and give me my daily bread. Or maybe you can pray the prayer of Psalm 23 or Psalm 51. That's a great one. Lord, create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit in me. See, I've noticed whenever I pray the scriptures, not only does God answer my prayers when I pray to the scriptures, but my heart is more open and more in tune with what God would want to do. So those are the 3 prayer points for you to focus on during your Daniel fast. Will you do me a favor and comment below and let me know some places where you focus your prayers during your prayer time? And it doesn't have to be just a Daniel fast prayer time. I'm interested in seeing how your prayers are being molded and being shaped and some ways that I can maybe implement those in my life. Now, as always, if you're interested in learning more about growing closer with God and helping you move forward with God, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can have some notifications. We're always releasing new videos designed to help you move forward with God. I'm Pastor B from Forward Church. I love you guys. See you next time.